here, the Scrapbooking Photographer. Welcome to my channel and thanks for stopping by. Today we are working on Mix It Up Monday, coupled with 52 weeks of everyday photos. This is the photo that I have chosen, which happens every day we hang the washing out. These two girls, Lulu and Gracie, sit by the back door and wait for me to bring the washing out because then they get a biscuit. So that's pretty much an everyday photo in our house. And this is the sketch that Tara has chosen this month, created by Jennifer Gain. So we'll see how we go with that. I've got lots of bits and pieces out of my store at the moment to play with, but I thought I would start with some mixed media and see how we go. So I've got the basic beige and pumpkin pie from Stampin Up and pewter from Close to My Heart, which gives me three sort of tones that are in that picture. And I've sprayed them with a little bit of water once I've spread them on the multi-purpose mat, and then using the brayer, I am not being artistic or clever at all. I am just merely shifting the ink from the multi-purpose mat to the page. And I'll wipe it clean before I put more on because I don't really want to mix the colours up on the ink pads. I want them to be kept clean in that regard. So I'll put a little bit more water on when I've scraped them on there, and then I'll carry on with my braying. Now you can see that the pumpkin pie is by far the most dominant, which is why on that time I started a little bit more with the grey and the basic beige, just to bring a little bit more of those colours in. But you know, orange is okay as a fairly dominant colour. So I'll wipe that away and then bring in this paper, which is a specialty textured paper from Stampin' Up. You get three different colours in the pack and you can see that the texture in them. It has that kind of homemade look to it with the little bits in it throughout. So I'll just rip a bit of that out to be the middle piece of what Jen's got on her sketch. But I don't want to keep it plain, and because we've got poppies on that picture in the back, I'm using the poppies from one of the old Close to My Heart stamps. And there's two different sorts of shapes of poppies in the set, so I'm using them both on the stamping block, and that will just give a bit of variety as we stamp over that textured paper. I'm not sure whether to do it in pumpkin pie or pewter, and in the end I decide with the pewter because I think there's enough pumpkin pie come through in that background, and so the pewter will come out on this textured paper a little bit like a pencil drawing, I think. Yep, that's how it came out, so I was quite happy with that. And if I get little gaps at the end, I can take one of the stamps off to fill it in. So I'll go through and do that. The poppies on the picture were taken from underneath, so they're quite a cool upward looking photo of poppies that I took in the Hamilton Gardens. So once that's done, I'll bring it back into the page, which is probably dry, and just getting the page the way I want it there with that heavy pumpkin pie in the bottom left-hand corner, and dry fitting a few things to see how they look. I think the photo needs to be mounted, and I go with the pumpkin pie and then the grey behind. And then I think I'll bring in a grey frame around the outside, so I'll go away and gut that and take 1/2 inch off two sides of the white willow, and then that brings a little bit more grey in from the background. But I still feel it needs a little bit of separation between that colourful white willow and what we've got going on in the front. So I bring the pewter back in with a blending brush and just whiz around the outside of where that textured paper is going to be. And I'm hoping that that will provide kind of a shadow effect between the textured paper and the white willow in the background. So it's kind of having the desired effect, and it just dulls down a little bit of the pumpkin pie that's directly behind what we're putting on top. So that gives a bit of a shadow and a little bit of separation. So this hot Mix It Up Monday has been great for building my confidence in doing mixed media. Tara O'Rourke hosts the hop over at the Paper Snob Community, so if you want to have a look at all the different opportunities, all the different options to add mixed media, then check out the playlist that's in the description box below, because I have learnt a heap and always learning. But I did want to add some texture paste as well, and I'm not particularly happy with the way this turned out, but anyway, I'll show you what I did. You can hardly see it on the final product, but I got some textured paste out and put a little bit of pewter on the all-purpose mat and swished them all together to just colour the texture paste a little bit. And I'm bringing in a heart-shaped stencil. They're only tiny hearts. I don't have a huge range of stencils, unfortunately, but, you know, I'm trying to build it as we do. So I'll get this sort of off-white greyish now and then bring in the stencil and try and put some hearts up the background behind where the photo's going to go. So I end up with a few. It's not a huge success in my opinion, but it adds a little bit, I guess. I'll give you a close-up here. You can see them very tiny there when you look closely. Not so easy to see when they're in the distance. But I do want to add something else. So I bring in a stamp from the elements of text, and there's again 2 stamps that have different dots on them. So I put the 2 of them onto a stamping block and use the pewter ink just to stamp them randomly around the outside of that shadow that we've already done with the blending brush. And that kind of adds a little bit more of what I wanted, something a bit different to the smushing and whatever. It's got a little bit more structure to it, but it's still muted tones. So I'll go around turning the stamp every now and then so that they're, again, not a cloned product of each other, but moved around so that they appear to be random. And so then when I put the textured paper back in, I just want to make sure that those poppies are standing straight. And I think that's probably enough mixed media for this layout. As I mentioned at the beginning, I have a whole heap of things to the left of screen that I got out that might work for this layout. And for the title, I'm using 2 different stamp sets, and they're both from Close to My Heart. One provides this Eat, Play, Love stamp, and the other one is a little heart with some paw prints in it. And I'm just a sucker for paw prints and hearts together. Just kind of sums up my life, really. So I put those together on the pumpkin pie and then back them with the pewter, which is the same colour as the ink I used to stamp on it. And then I can start sticking everything together. So I do make sure that the double-sided tape is quite near where the edge of the white willow will be, and that will counteract any curling. And then I can stick everything back. It's all got its place because we did the shadow in the right place, and so it's pretty easy to figure out where everything needs to go. If you've enjoyed watching this layout come together, then please hit the subscribe button, and likewise when you go through the playlist of the other creators, make sure you show some love and give a thumbs up or subscribe to the channels if you haven't already. Now I've got the title in there, I'll make a little spot for the journaling, and it just so happens I've got this particular piece of pumpkin pie left, so I'm shifting the title over so that I can centre it with what I'm going to put underneath for journaling. Not a great amount to journal. So I've made a pumpkin pie piece the right size, and then I make a piece of white willow and decide I don't want it white willow. I want it the same as the textured paper that we've already used. So I then take the white willow off once it's all stuck together and make a piece to fit that is the specialty paper, and I think that colour works really well. And then I'll go off screen and do my journaling, and the page will just about be finished. I have got a few little acrylic dots that I can add just to bring a bit more of that light colour in. So I've popped 3 down at the bottom of the title, and I still think it needs something up on the top right. So I have a look through my stickers and things, and I do find this sticker that just works perfectly underneath the girls, Sunshine and Warm Days. And then in the ephemera packs I find a couple more. Basically I'm looking for things with that pumpkin pie colour with words that sort of are relevant to the page. And then I found another piece of ephemera in there with that colour. So I'll make a little cluster up the top and put a heart there because I just love these dogs to bits. And put one more of the enamel dots on the top of that once I've raised it on some dimensionals. So that's my page for today's Mix It Up Monday. Thank you, Jen, for such a lovely sketch. So do remember to look at the playlist. Thank you for watching, everybody, and happy crafting.